and welcome to the Kozy Cure. The Kozy Cure is here to help you clear the chaos and embrace the cozy. In this series, I will be teaching you the basics of sewing in an easy and understandable format. Instead of watching hundreds of tutorials of sewing videos like I did, just to learn the basics, this series will in only 4 episodes teach you the foundational skills you need to know when sewing almost any project, through one simple project, the cloth napkin. In this first episode, I will show you all the supplies you will need to begin this project. Let's begin. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to begin this project is a sewing machine. This is a Brothers CP2-160L, a domestic sewing machine. It's a pretty basic model. So whether or not you have this specific model or another type of model, as long as it is considered a domestic sewing machine, so not a huge industrial sewing machine or a serger, most of the skills I will teach you on how to set up your sewing machine are transferable to your specific model, whether or not it is this specific one. Now, I have taken off the presser foot and taken out the needle, so you can get an idea of how your machine is going to look when it first comes out of the box. In the next episode, I will show you how to set up your sewing machine. So I will show you how to install your presser foot, how to install your needle, and teach you all the other information you need to know about your sewing machine for this project. Okay, next you're going to need fabric. This is 100% cotton fabric that you can get from most hobby stores. I would get 1 yard of it, so that'll be about 3 feet. That way you can make additional napkins if you want, or if you have any mess ups, you can redo it. Now, I would recommend cotton because it is going to be the easiest fabric to work with when you first start sewing. Next, you're going to want some thread. This is all-purpose 100% polyester thread, also available at most hobby stores. Fabric scissors, very important. These will easily cut through your fabric. You do not want to use these for thread or paper because it can dull your scissors, so have another pair of scissors nearby for cutting your thread with. Now you will also want pins because once you press the edges of your fabric and fold them down before you begin sewing, you'll want to pin them so they stay in place. And we'll get into all of what pressing means and everything like that. Don't worry about that right now. You probably received a bag like this when you first got your sewing machine, full of a lot of different things, a little bit stressful. Well, you only need about 3 things from here, so I will show you what those are. First, you're going to want the all-purpose presser foot, and it looks like this. That way you don't have to figure out which one it is because you probably got a bag that came with about 3 of them. This is all-purpose. It basically just helps the fabric stay in place when you are sewing. In that bag, you probably also received a bobbin case. You will only need 1 of these, and this is what that looks like. You probably also received a couple of different types of needles with different numbers on them. One of them probably says 8012, and the other one says probably 9014. Now, you want the one that says 8012. This will go through cotton fabric, and basically the 9014 is just for heavier fabrics like denim, so you do not need to worry about that. Just grab the 8012 needle. And if you can't see which one says 8012 because the number is so small, pro tip, take a picture of the top of it and zoom in. That way you can actually read what it says. Now, this also probably came with your sewing kit. It's basically just a mini screwdriver that unscrews the screw that holds in the needle. So you'll want that. So when we install our needle, you'll be able to tighten it. This is a seam ripper. You will probably need this, as I have used it many times. This is for if you mess up a line of stitching, you can easily pop it out with this tool. This is just a basic school ruler, and you can get this at most places, and this is just so you can measure the distance between the edge of the fabric to where we're folding it. Again, we'll get more into that later, but this is probably something you have lying around your house. Now, when you get further into your sewing career, you may want to purchase a flexible ruler, and that looks like this. And basically, this is just so you can take body measurements, and it's a little easier to measure on the edges of fabric with this type of ruler. So this is everything you're going to need for this project. Now, when you get further into your sewing career, like I said, you may want to upgrade some of your tools. So this right here, this is a cutting mat. It makes it easier to cut out pieces of fabric when you're working with bigger projects like garments, because instead of having to freehand cut with scissors, you'll be able to lay your fabric down flat and cut on this board with this, which is a cutting wheel. Now, another thing you can get is a water-soluble marker, and basically you can write on your fabric and then it'll come off in the wash. Now, you'll want to test it on your fabric before you just start drawing all over your fabric to make sure it actually comes off on the specific fabric you bought, but this is very helpful. A lot of people do recommend getting a chalk marker, but this one's really hard to see, especially if you're working with white fabric, and it can be really hard to see your lines, so I recommend getting a marker instead. Now that we know everything we need, let's begin setting up our sewing machine. See you on the next episode.